Yippee!
Say hello to the
And
people.
we're live. Hey, bitches. Bitches, bros, and no. Bitches,
No.
bros, and non-binary hoes.
I don't think you're supposed to swear that many seconds into a YouTube video.
Oops. Just cut it out, we'll be fine.
I don't have the proper edit software to do that.
You'll be fine.
I won't be fine. Okay. Anyways, today we'll be reading for you all some of the scariest internet stories that are definitely going to be true and definitely aren't made up. Because the internet would never lie to you.
Never. It's all true thing.
Every single thing, including the fact that you have to eat small rocks every day.
Of course. Anyway,
Moving on.
Quickly.
Since I am the only person with the stories, I will be reading them out.
Oh, okay.
Great.
Everyone get your blankets. This is gonna be a long one.
Get your blankets. Don't be in a dark room.
Spooky stories by the fire. Let's go.
Yeah. Don't be in a dark room, or do. We don't care.
Do what you want. We have no choice.
Yep.
No, we have no say.
Do you want me to start?
Same thing.
Do you want me to start?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So I can do anything.
Shut up! It was near Halloween time when my friends and I were telling ghost stories. My friend said she was going to tell a story about her parents' first dates. She said she didn't like telling the story since it was actually true, but we prodded her on to cut to the chase. The parents had spent a nice time, if awkward, first date, and around the time they would have said goodnight, the male in the situation, my friend's dad, suggested that they go for a midnight hike up Provo Canyon. Why would you do that?
What the fuck?
Why do you want to go on a midnight hike up a canyon?
Crazy first date, you guys.
Oh god, yeah.
At night as well.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, I would run.
Perfect serial killer time.
No, for real. Not even that. Like, serial killers would wait a couple days, I swear.
Oh god, yeah. Anyways, the father apparently knew the place since he had done a fair amount of rock climbing in that area. So the two drove up to the mouth of the canyon, got out of their cars and started hiking under the light of the stars since it was a new moon. At some point, the father starts getting a bad feeling. No shit. Since the pathway...
I thought you were going to say boner.
No. The father...
Suddenly, Dad gets a boner. What?
The father started getting a bad feeling since the pathway ahead, which was going to pass under some trees, would be dark. Like it wasn't already dark. Because it was getting quite late. He ignored the... Why would you ignore the feeling?
Because he's a grown man, apparently.
He ignores the feeling and
being
presses on.
Being scared of the darkness for little kids.
In later rehearsing of the story, the female would say that she had felt the same feeling at what was probably the same time, though she didn't know the trail as he did. A minute later, the feeling came back to the father. He ignored it again and started walking a bit of the way into the trees when his foot hit something soft left in the middle of the path.
That is when you leave. When you shouldn't have come here the first time. Why would she agree?
I don't know!
Oh my god.
This is perfect.
You can tell she's
killer.
had nothing bad ever happen to her. Ever.
Yeah. Under the trees, it was too dark to see just what the soft thing was, and the feeling came back
Why would
stronger
you not
than
bring
ever.
torches?
We don't ask.
Sorry. Why? Oh, it's stressing me out. The stupidity.
Stress out after I tell the story, pretty please. Instead of finding out what his foot had bumped into, he and the mother both agreed to hightail it out of there. Years later, after being married for some time, why would you get married to the man who brought you into a dark forest?
Maybe she's into that.
Oh!
Just continue.
They were watching an interview with the serial killer Ted Bundy. In response to a question asking him to describe the time he felt closest to being caught, he explained about the night he had lured a girl into the Provo Canyon and had just killed her when he heard some people coming up the trail. He explained how he hid in the trees just in time, only to watch some guy walk right into the body and for some reason just turn around and walk away.
Me too. Personally, same. I would have done that too.
This is a small story.
Mm-hmm.
Okay then. Get ready to imagine this. Alright?
Oh, I'm imagining already. Look
Get
at
your
that.
thinking brain on.
Big brain time. Let's go.
Big brain time. My mum was a Native American. She named my sister Shula, which means fox. I probably immediately butchered that name. I'm not sorry. Most likely because of her name's sake, but maybe not. My sister loved everything that had to do with a fox. Last November, my mum was doing dishes at the sink and looking out the window at the woods like she always does. She looks up from the dishes to the edge of a wood. To the edge of the woods, and that moment, a fox steps out of the woods. It sits on its hind legs and stares right at my mum's face, while she stares back through the window. She said it seemed like 5 minutes they stared at each other before the fox suddenly got up, turned around, and walked into the woods. My mum said her first thought was to call Shula and tell her about the fox. My sister never answered. She died in a head collision on the day due to some asshole drunk driver.
Oh!
My mom keeps looking for the fox. It has never come back.
Shit.
The fox was the sister.
Yeah, I got that one. Whoa.
No,
because that one's just slightly cute though.
Slightly.
Like that one's cute. I like that one.
I'm gonna take a Coca-Cola break. This is not sponsored by Coca-Cola.
But if it was.
If it was!
It's my candy cane break. Hold up.
That's
These
so
are from
sad.
Christmas.
That's amazing.
Alright.
I love my Coca-Cola zero sugar and no calories.
No. Anyway.
Moving on to the next one. My dad used to work in a juvenile detention centre in the Miami area in the early 70s.
Of course.
He said there was one inmate that reminded him a lot of a young Hannibal Lecter. Uh-oh. wasn't strong, but he was smart and very persuasive. One day, he started a riot in his block of cells just by talking to the other inmates in it. Uh-oh. My dad and another guard were sent in to check it out and try and calm things down. Everybody in the block was going crazy.
Me too.
Banging on the bars, howling and yelling at each other. Everybody except...
What did my guy even say?
Everybody except the young Hannibal Lecter. He was standing still in the middle of his cell with his arms folded, smiling and muttering the same phrase over and over. I think this man needs to go to a mental hospital.
Yeah, maybe.
Ah, he muttered it quietly, by the way. My dad tried to focus on what he was saying, and after a couple seconds he understood. The inmate was reciting the dad's home phone number. How did he get that?
What the fuck?
My question was immediately answered. I don't know how he got it. Maybe he bribed another guard into getting it for him, or he saw it written on some form on his way between rooms or something. The guy never called my dad. In fact, he never really got any strange phone calls ever, but the level of determination this inmate must have, or to just freak my dad out, was simply impressive. Why is one of the things on the side fake lesbian duo?
No, that is scary.
It's worse. Like this story, that's totally going to be scary.
Ooh.
Ooh. Oh, it's raining outside. That's great.
I'm not surprised.
Me neither. Anyways, story time. A few years ago, my brother would get a call on his cell phone around 2 to 3 a.m. every night. He would answer it, and it was this hellish sounding noise, like static mixed with screams. You're being called by hell. Run away. He changed his cell number after a month, and it stopped. Then after a week, it began again. The same exact noise, exact same time.
I would just not pick up.
Finally, one day, he decided to back dial the call. It was an old man that had no clue what he was talking about. Still, the calls persisted. If he didn't answer, it would call a few more times. That's why you don't want to not answer the phone. No messages.
Just turn your phone off.
No messages were left. He decided to say screw it, ended his contract with his phone company, switched to a new one, then got a new number. And no one guessed it, but you definitely also guessed it. Screaming static calls continued after a short delay. By this time, he was terrified every night, unsure of why this was happening. He back dialed the number again and got a different person. What? Around this time, he lost his job and his phone. The calls stopped, and his phone was disconnected now. So one day, the mother asks the person to listen to the weird message she got on the home phone. It was the static screaming again! Woo!
Oh, yay, what a joy.
They showed the brother, and he was freaking out. He back dialed the number, and it said the number was disconnected this time. He never heard from it again after that.
Now what have you got to do, man?
That isn't very repetitive of you. Do it again, bitch. Next one.
sure.
When and I
Well, no.
when and I was in high school.
Did you forget?
No, I just decided to mock myself. When I was in high school, I was babysitting for this family. I never babysat before. Okay, we don't care.
Oh.
They had kind of an eerie house.
Never doing
Disorganized,
it again.
but with these weird masks everywhere. Get out of the fucking house!
Yeah, no, that's a murder.
There are 3 kids, and it's about 10. Whether it's 10 a.m. or p.m., we don't know. They don't specify.
Probably PM.
Maybe.
That's normally when you get a babysitter.
Yeah. It's windy outside and the power goes out. They were freaked out because it was very unfamiliar house and they didn't know the kids very well. Since the TV was no longer an option, they were trying to think of things to do with the children. The eldest girl,
Not murder.
Gillian, started going through their purse and pulled out their camera and was taking pictures for half an hour.
Shit, girl.
The parents came home about 12:30 and they went home. Next morning, when they were going through the camera to look at the pictures, in the background there was a man looking through the glass door in the backyard. He was in every picture.
Oh, great. Just what we need.
Yep.
That just made me just a little bit scared of taking pictures in the dark now. So.
It's like that one bad
Yay.
horror movie I watched a review about.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Anyways, next one. You ready?
Mhm.
You ready to be terrified?
Always.
A few weeks ago, my girlfriend and I were sleeping together when I woke up to her saying, "What are you doing?"
Already terrifying. Shivers down my back, bro.
She sometimes talks in her sleep, but this sounded so coherent and urgent that it jolted me awake, and I asked what she was talking about. Then she woke up and said she thought she saw someone at the end of the bed. Thinking it was just a dream or semi-awake hallucination, we thought nothing of it. And about an hour later, I woke up and saw someone standing on the bed
Oh.
with the sheets wrapped up and twisted to their neck.
Oh.
No, thank you. I didn't know what to do, but the first thing that came out of my mouth was, "What are you doing?" My girlfriend then woke me up. I had been dreaming the exact same thing that she did and said the exact same thing.
What the fuck?
I don't like him. I don't like sheet wrapped up neck man. Anyways, next one. Not the Scottish.
Oh no, not the Scots.
So when I was a wee little lad. So when I was a wee little lad. I'm not going to do that accent throughout the whole thing because I'm absolutely butchering it, and I'm so sorry to the Scottish people that had to see that. My mother used to rock me to sleep on a hammock because that was the quickest way to get me to fall asleep. One night, while she was alone in the house rocking me to sleep on the hammock, she was tired and fell on the floor while rocking the hammock back and forth. Then she had a brief dream where she saw her elder sister, my aunt, who passed away years before I was born. She supposedly walked up to her and sat down in the dream, comforting and telling my mom to go to sleep because she can take over the hammock rocking for my mom. Hi!
Hungry?
Yes, I'm hungry.
She probably wakes up and the hammock's rocking, but
My mom said she immediately woke up and saw the hammock rocking back and forth on its own. As if she
Oh my
never
God.
stopped
Guys, I
rocking
love
it
it.
the whole time. My mom dreams about her dead sister all the time. She just shows up and tells my mom stuff.
oh,
You predicted it!
I'm so smart.
I love how it's not a scary story.
I know. Anything with ghosts is a scary story, apparently.
That's a bad rap on the ghosts. Anyway, Coca-Cola time.
Not again, bro.
I'm thirsty.
Okay. You're doing better than me right now, let's be real.
I drink
What drink
better
have I
than you
had?
do on a normal basis.
Hmm?
I drink better than you do on a normal basis.
We know.
And my diet consists of tea and soda.
See, because you're actually British, though.
But I'm Welsh at the same time.
No British in the world. You are too many nationalities, stop it.
Oh, I'm so many nationalities at once, mate.
Yeah, we know, stop it.
Anyways. Next one. I don't know why I keep clapping, but I'm just gonna run with it. It's fun.
Quack, quack.
I was visiting family for a winter break in Los Angeles. This was about 5 years ago when I was heading to the bathroom on the second floor of my aunt's house when I saw my cousin April on the stairs. I asked, month. My favourite art, the month.
I mean, I bet they have a June.
Oh, probably. April was 4 and very animated. I'd hope so. I'd hope she'd be very animated, because if she wasn't, she'd be dead.
Oh.
But I also hope she isn't a drawing.
Let us continue.
She was busy making funny faces while sitting on the stairs. I asked her what she was doing. She said, "I'm copying the lady with the braid." I looked around. There was no one else. I asked,
It's a
"Where's the lady?"
ghost thing, bro.
Shut up! I asked April, "Where's the lady, April?" She pointed to a beam running parallel to the stairwell. I asked April, "What's the lady doing?" She said, "Making funny faces." I smiled and started walking up the stairs again when April stopped me in my tracks. April said, "Her braids are around her neck." I turned back and asked April to repeat herself. April pointed. "The lady is hanging by her braid. She's making funny faces." Then April started making a face, which I then realised was someone gasping for air.
Oh.
I think the lady hung herself.
No, really?
Anyways, next one.
Shit.
When I was younger, I had an imaginary friend. Who doesn't? Who lived
Me?
in this massive antique dresser. We'd chill out and I vividly remember him telling me stories, although I have absolutely no recollection of what they actually were. I remember one day talking to my parents about it. Father travelled quite a bit, so he wasn't up to date with what I was into. When I started telling him about my dresser buddy, he wanted to know his name. It was something innocent like Peter or Patrick, but I can still see him going white in the face. I drew Peter Patrick out for him the next day, and my uncle took out that dresser and burned it. It wasn't until a few years later I found out my dad's little brother, the uncle, also had the same friend with the same name who lived in the same antique dresser. A few months later, the typical imaginary friendship, the uncle started having night terrors and couldn't sleep because of Peter Patrick. It got so bad that they had to move him out of his room before he managed to get back to normal. Peter Patrick, you crazy man! How dare you terrorize your old friend just because he burnt your house down? Anyways, next one. When I was in 8th grade, I went on a school trip that was called the Louisiana Tour. Please don't tell me you're going to tour around the whole of Louisiana. It was mostly going around to significant sites in South Louisiana. Okay, that's good. One of the places we went was Myrtle's Plantation. I definitely butchered that. And I need more Coca-Cola.
I thought you were just going to say Coke and I got really confused.
I need more drugs.
I need more Coke. Okay, bro. Pack it in.
Myrtle's Plantation is considered to be one of the most haunted places in the country. There are all kinds of stories about the place, but at one point we were standing in the same room as a pair of a larger group, and the tour guide was talking about something. I don't remember what it was. As I'm standing there, I start to hear what sounds like someone hitting a piano key. After I heard it a couple times, I started looking around for the source of the noise. I didn't see a piano, but I kept hearing it. So I asked my friend who was standing next to me if they heard it. They said no. When I heard it again, I said it's there again, and they must have heard it. They thought I was crazy!
Valid.
So I went back to looking around the room. Everyone's eyes were on the tour guide except one woman. She caught my eye and pointed at me and then her ear with a questioning look. I realised she was asking if I heard it too and nodded. At this point, the guide starts telling a story about a soldier who had died there and that he played the piano and multiple guests had reported hearing him playing at night. I honestly didn't know what to think. I guess I still don't. I talked to the woman as we were leaving the room, and she had heard the same exact thing as me, but her husband and son had not heard it. Hey! Free soldier piano!
Not those things.
I love free soldier piano noises.
Preach.
It's not scary at all.
No, again, that one's just cute.
Yeah. These are very bad. Oh well. That's a good clap.
The scariest story here is Ren. See?
No, I don't see. I'm blind.
No, you don't see, darling. You don't.
I am the prophet.
You don't see, darling. Anyways,
I have really terrible nightmares a lot. Not me, this is the person. One reoccurring nightmare is about a shadowy figure standing near my bed. I think you just have a sleep paralysis demon.
I know it wasn't you, because you don't sleep.
Anyways, it thankfully hasn't happened in a while, but it always starts out the same. In the dream, I wake up from my sleep and see a shadowy blur in one corner of my room. Then I actually wake up in a little bit of a panic, but eventually fall asleep again. In the dream, I wake up again. I'm laying in my bed and the shadowy thing is now closer, and it has formed into the shape of a human. I can never make out any of its features, but it's at the foot of my bed eventually, just standing there, watching me. Wake up. Simple answer to the situation. Wake up. There's something so menacing about this thing that every time I've had this dream, I've woken up shaking and screaming.
Oh,
And
that's a bit rude.
struggling to turn my lights on in a confused state. In this dream, I know this thing shouldn't be there and is going to hurt me, but I can never stop it. I recently got a puppy, and now when I have nightmares, he moves from his normal spot near my feet and lays next to me, resting his head on my arm and licking my face. It's helped a lot. I just know this is probably
How
not
big
the
is
type
that dog?
I don't know. I know this is probably
Lays
not
by
the
the
type of
feet,
story you're looking for.
Hand on arm, licks face. How? What the fuck? How small is this girl? How big is the dog?
Okay, so he normally sleeps near her feet when the nightmare is happening, and then moves to lay near the face.
Okay. Okay.
Still resting head on arm, licking face.
Yeah. How?
That's a very tilted
How
head.
big is the dog's head?
It's the didn't I do it for you dog head.
Let me do it for you.
Didn't I do it for you? Oh. I think the call shut down.
Yeah. I have 5 minutes, so.
Oh, great. Anyways, for the viewers who don't know what just happened, the call ended.
The ghosts.
The gods chose the call shouldn't continue anymore.
They didn't like the story.
Same.
Anyway. Speaking of story.
Next
finish it.
one. I know this is way late and we'll probably get buried. Buried? Why did I pronounce that so wrong? That's the nightmare of the situation. I pronounced the very simple word wrong. Jesus Christ. Anyways, when my grandmother died in a car accident about 6 to 7 years ago, my mum's home phone kept getting calls about 3 to 4 times a week, give or take. But every time we pick up the calls, it'd just be some very old jazz type music, probably from the 40s and 50s, playing softly. This was the same music my grandmother used to always be listening to around the house. I remember being around it all the time. No one would talk, he would just play the music for a couple minutes, then disconnect. Was also an unknown number. These calls started a couple weeks after she passed and went on for a few months, then randomly stopped. It weirded us out a lot, the timing for that to happen, and of all the music choices. That isn't scary, that is sad.
That's just sweet. Like, whatever happened there, that was just cute.
Anyways, story time. None from me, but I remember a story in high school. Teacher told me that I'm not good at English right now.
It's okay.
None from
Maybe see
me.
my quote in the comment.
None from me, but I remember a story a high school teacher told me that always stuck with me. There we go. My former teacher was home alone when she was a child. At some point in the 70s, probably. A man knocked on her door and she opened her main door but kept the screen door locked. Why the fuck did you do that? Don't open the door. End of conversation.
Stranger danger. It no exist.
Fair enough. He said he was from the gas company and wanted to talk to her parents. She told him they weren't home, and he, without missing a beat, tried to start forcing his way into the home. When he found the screen door to be locked, he pulled out a box cutter and started to cut through the screen. My teacher ran to hide in a clothes hamper in the parents' closet, and she sat there for about 10 minutes before the police arrived. Thank God a neighbour saw everything and called the police, or she'd probably be dead. Also, to put the cherry on top, the freaking creepy Sunday, they found the intruder hiding in the attic. She told us as a cautionary tale to lock all doors and windows when home alone. Of course, naturally, I would go home from school to be alone from hours. Doom. I think we should end the episode here. Because you're gone soon. Like a minute.
Fun fact, I just got more time.
Oh, great! Well, more stories.
I texted my dad like 30 minutes ago, and I think he just responded with, on it, ... It's like the menacing bitch he is. Just kidding, I love you, Dad.
As if he's watching this.
As if he'll be watching this.
Coca-Cola break.
You never know. Is anyone watching these?
Definitely one person.
Oh, hi.
Hi, one person we love very dearly. Because you're our only viewer.
Aww.
Me and my friends...
I need to get more of my friends to watch their videos.
You really do. Anyways, me and my friends were driving home from a show we all went to. This was about 7 years ago or so in the Ceratois area. I butchered that name once more. There's an elementary school there. I think on the 186.
Hunger Games.
Anyway, we drove by a local elementary school. All of us joking and laughing, or whatever 16-year-olds do. Cry.
What can I do now? I'm 16. No, 17. Anyway, who's gone?
My friend's girlfriend looked over at the playground in the school, screamed, and refused to talk to anyone for a few hours. We all asked her what was wrong, what she saw, what happened, but nothing would make her tell us. We all thought she saw someone on the playground or a dead body or something. We all knew that she was seriously spooked. But as backstory, I should add that she's sensitive to paranormal happenings. I should also add that I don't really believe in ghosts or the likes, but whatever. She would have doors fly open at her old clothes hangers fly off the rail, cups fall over, and then right themselves multiple times. Oh, clumsy ghost. Anyways,
that's just cute.
She told us that
If I was a ghost, I would do that.
She told her boyfriend what she had seen. She said that she had briefly seen a bunch of blood-covered people walking around the playground aimlessly.
Oh.
I immediately started blaming exhaustion. It was around 2 a.m. when we drove by. We looked it up later, and it turns out that a plane had crashed into the school in the late 60s, 80s, and a lot of people have died. Cue the spooky music. Mexo Flight 498 in case anyone is curious. Thank you, Kate Halslam.
We were dying to know.
Yep. Anyways, next story.
How many more are we gonna do?
Several.
Okay.
5. For those who don't know, this is 41 of these, but we do not have enough time for that.
No. Or patience.
I have enough patience. You don't.
No.
It was May
I don't think anyone else does
It was May 1995. Start imagining things.
Okay, I'm imagining.
I was 9 years old, and our second grade class took a field trip to our local hospital. Why the fuck would you get a trip to a hospital?
Hey, it was the 90s, leave them alone.
Okay, fine. We were on a tour of the facility when eventually I left the rest of the class like a fucking dumbass and started making my
Like a
way
main
down
character.
the hallways. Eventually I ended up in a room where a man in his early 90s was laying in bed. He talked for about 5 minutes, then I said goodbye and left. Found the rest of the class as they were leaving, and on our way out my grandmother and her sister was walking in. They stopped to talk to me, and my grandmother told me my great-grandfather Gene was here in the hospital. I said, I know, I just spoke to him. They both looked perplexed because nobody had told me he was in the hospital. He died hours later.
Yeah.
I went in there not knowing he was there, didn't know what room he was in, but somehow ended up in his room speaking to him just hours before he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
How amazing.
Again, that was just nice.
Anyways, we often visited my grandparents' cabin when I was a kid. It's a normal rustic cabin in the middle of the quiet woods. When we left to go home, I would say, bye Grandpa, bye Grandma, bye Scary Man! Since there was no one else but my grandparents, it creeped my parents out for years. Years later, they asked me who I was talking to, what it was. The neighbours had an outdoor water heater and some scratch markings on it that resembled a face. I called it Scary Man. Can't imagine how creepy it made
Okay.
them. So it's
My sister used to say to my mum, be like, oh look, here's the Hat Man, or something like that. And mum would always ask her the basic questions like, who's that? What does he look like? What's he doing? And I think he would just stand in her room and just watch her. This is true, by the way. And I also once saw a little Victorian boy at the end of my garden.
Yeah, you told me about that.
Hmm.
Speaking of little ghosty things, I have my own little things to share. Llankayak Fawr Manor, or Shadowman Manor. If you watch Simon Colby, you know exactly what that is. If you don't, it's a little Welsh building where one of the kings of England actually visited, Yeah. And my first time going there on a ghost hunt in night, at the kitchen area, I think, I turned around to face where the door was, and just like, if you can imagine this, you just see a very dark doorway. At the end of the hall there's like a staircase kind of winding upwards, and to the left, like tucked behind the wall, is where the door would be. But I just seen from where the wall was, eyes to forehead, just a young child with very frizzy hair. and it just kind of left after a second, and I just kind of like stared like, what the fuck?
Excuse me?
And then later on, while up in one of the bedrooms of one of the fast tenants of the house, I was touched on the shoulder. Like, imagine this, you're standing next to your parent, or like anyone who you want to imagine. You're listening to someone talk about ghosts, and all of a sudden, on your left shoulder, you just feel a gentle pat on your shoulder, like someone's just gently touched it and then just took away their hand. So, instinctively, I turned to my mother like, did you just touch me? And she went, no. I got touched by a ghost!
Yeah! That sentence alone.
Thank you.
I got touched by a ghost.
Oh, noodles.
What?
I got touched by a ghost. What?
Sorry?
Sorry? What'd you say?
Do you have any ibuprofen? I got a headache. Anyway.
Anyways. Next story. A few years ago, my wife's uncle Bob from Florida was killed in a vehicle accident in Florida on his way to Illinois. Illinois? Markiplier, we go? Markiplier?
Oh my god.
To visit family for Father's Day.
Hyperfixation is real, you guys.
I know, right? At the time, my oldest daughter was a few days shy of being 3. No one spoke about it in front of her or really acted like anything was out of the ordinary. But 2 days later, after Bob died, I heard my daughter in our kitchen talking, and it sounded like she was having a conversation. I walked into the kitchen, and of course, she was alone, but she was talking in the general direction of the dishwasher. I asked her who she was talking to, and she said to him, Bob says he's not ready to go yet. I asked her who Bob was, and she described my wife's uncle, whom she had never met and had never seen a picture of because we didn't have any. I hope Bob was able to go eventually. These aren't scary. These are sad.
These are so cute. Wait.
Can I just read this comment out to you? It's by the Flame Demon, and it says, it's Spirit Fairer time.
Sorry, no, I hope he got to leave eventually.
Anyways, next story. I was about 14 and creepy stuff had been happening in my room. Started with me turning my TV off. And on random times of the night. And then it got worse. When I would wake up, there would be dirty handprints around the edge of my ceiling, like something was pouring to get out. Then the shadows just moving back and forth around the room. Then real stuff hit the fan. One night, tapping on the walls and scratching in the ceiling scared the shit out of me, but I still said nothing to my dad. And then I could not tell anyone of what happened next. I was sitting there, watching TV in my room, and in the creepiest voice I have ever heard, "How are you today?" Like an old lady almost. I packed my things and ran the fastest I've ever run down the stairs in my life.
Preach. Oh my god.
My brother was downstairs doing whatever when I basically fell down the stairs, physically shaking, with him asking what happened why I was so freaked out. I told my dad about it when he came home from work and told us to go see a movie while he worked his magic on my room. Everything was fine for many years until I just heard 3 single taps on my wall a few days ago.
Oh.
And for those who don't know about ghosts and paranormal, like ghost hunters and all that, usually when that kind of things happen, it's usually a spirit or a demon mocking the Holy Trinity.
Oh.
So I think this person got a ghost out their ass.
No, because I would actually so do that. If I was a ghost, I would so fuck with people.
Great. Anyways, next story. A few years ago, I went to a Christmas party that my housemates went home earlier. That was not English. I will restart this whole thing after a sip of Coca-Cola.
Oh my god.
Anyways, a few years ago, I went to a Christmas party. That night, my housemates went home earlier, while I decided to stay and get in the Christmas spirit with a few other friends.
Yeah.
I ended up getting pretty hammered and got home around 3 a.m. Instead of going straight to bed, I got another beer and went out to the back porch to have a smoke and look at the stars. I was outside for a couple of minutes before I see the light go on in the kitchen. My housemate comes back and look at me at the back. I wave and generally look like a drunk idiot, though he was going to come out and give me a debrief on the rest of the evening, as there was some good laughs we had, not relevant to the story. Anyways, he gets a glass of water and goes to bed. I finish my smoke and beer, and so do I. Next morning, we are rehashing the previous nights when he mentioned getting up and seeing me have a smoke out back. Who came back from the party with you last night? I give him a sideways look and replied, no one, dude. I was out there alone. He insists, nah man, there was something out there with you, behind you on the porch. When you were looking inside waving, it didn't come out. I thought it was some random friend from the Christmas party. I didn't know. Couldn't be bothered making introductions. Why did I adapt an accent for that? To this day, he stands by this version of events. Whoever it was must have been standing close behind me the whole time. I saw no one and heard nothing. Gives me the willies every time I think about it. Anyways, next and final story before this episode ends. My grandfather died.
Spooky.
End of story.
That's it.
Anyways, goodbye everybody. Hope you enjoyed that story. My grandfather died last year sometime when my son was maybe a year old. We had dinner and the whole family every Friday night, so my son had seen him several times. Mount great-grandfather.
Oh my god.
My great-grandfather was very quiet, proud man, but when he thought he was alone or unseen, he would make silly faces at my son to get a laugh. That's sweet. A couple nights after his funeral, my son, who'd likely crawl into a bed with us in the middle of the night, started laughing uncontrollably at like 2 a.m. So I get out of bed to see what was going on, and find my son sitting in the middle of the living room, in the dark, laughing.
Well, no. Goodbye.
I say, "Hey buddy, what are you doing?" In toddler speak, he says, "Papa, funny." I got a little nervous for some reason. I went to pick him up and bring him to our room for the rest of the night. And as I'm holding him away, he says, "Bye, Papa," and blows a kiss at absolutely nothing I can see. That wasn't sad. That wasn't scary. As Ray said, that's actually really cute.
Yeah.
I say as if I have any kind of humanity left in my body to actually concern what is cute.
Don't worry, I'm here for you.
Yippee! Anyways, that is the end of this episode.
Yay!
Hope you enjoyed this scary story videos. And even though it was not scary at all and was mostly sentimental at best, it was something. We will see you all tomorrow.